Hello, I'm here with my friend Tim Anderson, visiting from Mississippi, and we're going to be attending a clinic with him in a couple days. And I took advantage of his second opinion to look at these 2-year-olds, and we're going to get into the question of when he would start them, and we're going to maybe even debate about when the best time is to start them. These two fillies, though they're very different in size, are bred very similarly. That filly is just a shade over 15 hands. She's about 15 hands, half an inch. This filly I haven't measured in a little while, but she's probably, what, 14-1, you think?
14-1, 14-2,
yeah.
Something like that.
So they're not tiny. This filly's big. This filly's a little smaller, a little finer. And
give you an idea of her size.
Yeah. So a lot of people, especially performance horse futurity trainers, these two young horses would have probably 4 months of riding in on them now. They're going to be chronologically 2 years old in the very beginning of May. And as I said to Tim a while back, the reason this one's bigger is because she's older by 1 day, but it was an active day. So they're different horses, even though they're bred similarly. So let's talk about the sort of the ongoing endless debate about when people should start horses.
Yeah, my thing is when I want to start a horse when their mind is telling me they're looking for something to do. Physically, you want them physically developed to a point, but really to me the physical development more tells you how you're going to start them, or the mental development more tells you when you're going to
if they're even ready to go.
If they're even ready to go. And I look for kind of getting in trouble when you have one that you know leads and you're trying to lead them point A to point B and they're trying to take you across the pasture, and you know they know how to lead, things like that, just wanting to.
So you sort of, like if I'd asked this filly to move and she's got enough concentration to just move around and then move her hip over, like you don't have to have a ton of fancy groundwork, but you like to have them aware of you, right?
Aware of you, exactly, and aware of just you giving them something to do. 'Cause that's really what training is about. It's just giving them a job, giving them something to do. And right there, she's looking in the pocket. That to me, that's the kind of thing.
That's immaturity.
Yeah.
She's looking for something, and it's not like she knows there's anything in my pocket. It's
right, and to me, when the horse's mind is doing those kind of things, it's already looking for something. So you might as well show it what you want it to know.
Yeah. Challenge them just a little bit.
Yeah. Give that mind something to do. And I personally, I do groundwork. I do groundwork when I start a horse, but you do a lot of groundwork going around in the round pen with a 2-year-old. I don't think that's great on the body.
No.
You got to do enough groundwork that you get taught what you need to get taught. But really, for a young horse, a lot of walking, mainly what I want them to know is that I want them to know that they can pack weight and steer and walk across the pasture.
Just cover some ground.
Cover some ground. That's really all I'm looking for them to know. And that's start and give them a job.
Yep.
So I'm big on starting them about their 2-year-old year or into their 2-year-old
About the time they are chronologically 2 years old.
Their actual 2-year-old birthday generally. I don't usually start them much before that unless there's kind of reason pushing me that way. Like, let's say a horse is really being pushy, almost to the point of being dangerous.
Give them something to do and put them to work.
If they're coming out and they're striking at you, I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive about giving them a job. These are very nice on the ground, kind of just nice-minded, good lead, halter broke.
And this is probably the first they've been caught up in since they were last had their feet trimmed a few weeks ago. And I don't like to do a whole lot with them. I do a lot with them when they're real babies to make sure they'll lead, they'll load. You can pick up their feet, you can trim them.
Right, I'm the same way. When they're babies, in fact, usually within the first few months, I want to know that I can put a halter on them, and if they get cut, I want to be able to doctor on them. And when it's time to start trimming their feet, I want to be able to trim their feet, and that's really all I'm looking for. And most of their
I like to be able to load them because you never know if horse gets hurt. This mare Philly had to go to the vet clinic, and it was nice that she loaded.
And then
I like to have them tie good.
Yeah, tie good. Just those basic ground manners.
Yep.
And that I think needs to be taught in their weanling year. And their yearling year, I don't really try to advance them anymore. I want to make sure we maintain that until their mind starts telling me they're looking for something.
And I completely agree with you when you say that pounding a horse on a lunge line or a round pen is harder on them than getting on their back and riding them in a straight line.
I agree, totally. And so many people are so against starting a horse at this age, but what they don't realize, if you wait till they're 4 or 5 years old, that's actually a lot mentally and physically harder on the horse, because that horse is already established in his mind, this is what life is, and now you're changing what the horse has already established in his mind, and that's mentally and physically. By that time, that horse is already traveling in a way that his body is going to travel as a mature horse, and you haven't had a chance to kind of mold
to influence that,
to teach them how to carry themselves correctly. If you start a horse at 4 years old that's carrying themselves real heavy on the front end, you're likely not going to fix that. So at this age, at 2 years old, to me,
well, they're like sponges.
They're like sponges. They soak up everything, and it's not a matter of being hard. It's not a matter of doing a lot of trotting, a lot of loping. You're teaching the mind, this is what life is. This is what your job is. You're giving them a purpose. And they're training their muscles, their body, to mold, to carry themselves correctly. And I really believe that when you start them that way, and as a 2-year-old and 3-year-old, you're teaching them how to carry their body correctly, you have a whole lot less issues with front feet issues. I think you have a whole lot less back issues. I've been involved with a couple of horses with kissing spine, and the ones I've been involved with all carried themselves really poorly. And I don't know if there's ever been any study done about that or not, but I really believe that when a horse carries himself correctly, it's better on his whole body.
Yeah.
And I like to start them in the 2-year-old year to start that process.
Yeah. And what I've found is, even if I only put 10 rods on them, and then kick them out.
Exactly.
That's fine, but that 10 rides is worth 30 rides if you start them as a 3 or 50 rides when you start them as a 4. So a lot of times you get a 4-year-old, they've already established their attitude toward life.
Well, and if you figure a 4-year-old is 48 months old,
yep,
and you take and put 30 days of work on that 48-month-old horse,
that's only about 2% of his life.
About 2% of his life. Where you take a 24-month-old horse and put 30 days of work on him, correct work for where his body is, then you basically doubled your influence on that horse because it's a bigger percentage of his life.
Yeah, yeah. And you can do it with less resistance, and in the end, you don't end up battling with your horse.
Exactly.
And I sort of work with the fact I'm a bigger guy. And I usually, and because I tend to get busy in the summer, I'll wait with these 2s till maybe September, and then ride them, a dozen times. And I get them outside as soon as I can. Take them out in the woods.
I'm the same way. Get them out to pen, let them see the woods, let them see the world, and I think that's good for their minds. Like you said, they're sponges. They're just soaking up everything at that stage.
I think people have this automatic idea that starting a 2-year-old is a bad idea, period. Well, starting a 2-year-old and acting like they are a 4-year-old is a terrible idea.
That is a terrible idea. And a lot of people, I think, I'm probably going to make a lot of people mad with this comment, but a lot of people that are really strong on they shouldn't be started until they're 4 years old, they're also the same people that really don't know how horses are started nowadays. And when you start a horse nowadays, when the horse is ready to be started mentally, it's not hard on the horse. They seldom buck, and it all goes better that way because their mind is in the right place for it.
And the odds of having a horse sort of develop a hair trigger at age 4 are a lot higher than age 2.
A lot higher. Yeah.
And you can defuse that for the rest of the horse's life with just those few lessons.
Exactly.
But I got probably more flack on a video I put up. It's probably maybe the 6th colt start video I put up, and I just happened to put in the title, 5th ride on a 2-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the same people who had watched that 2-year-old get started under saddle and thought it was lovely said, oh, he's 2, you're going to go to horsey hell. Yeah. And really, it was the same horse, the same stuff taking place, and he was coming along real nicely for where he was and wasn't going to go much further that year.
Right. Well, I did a video called 2-Year-Old with a Temper, and there was a horse at the end of its 2-year-old year that was really creating some problems, really being pushy, really getting aggressive. In fact, the part that I didn't say about that horse is it actually put Raven here in the hospital.
Ooh.
It was that bad of a horse. So that horse's options are either I do what needs to be done so that horse has a productive future, or he goes to Mexico and you don't know what's going to happen after that.
It won't be good.
It won't be good.
They'll get a trip to France in a cardboard box.
Exactly. So you have to really understand that horse's future if it's not started correctly. And it's not about the age, it's about the mind and what you're telling that mind to do.
And like you said, this filly's like pretty busy-minded. Now the other filly, even though she's straight up race bred, she's more likely to stand there and doze. Mm-hmm. And this one wants to do stuff.
Yeah.
Plus Raven,
this one really needs a job.
Plus Raven,
this one is smaller. I'd probably start that one before that one.
Plus Raven's doing a better job than I am. So just remember my manners. This is Raven, who is Tim's protege, and she's up here helping us, and she's getting along real well with Bunny here. And these fillies do not get a lot of handling, and that's it by intention. But this one's telling me that she needs a refresher, and instead of me standing and holding her and picking at her, probably the next week I'll tie her up, put her a hay bag, and let her stand there for several hours until she just settles in.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm on the same page. I'm a little hesitant to start them in the spring of their 2-year-old year, but by fall they get a few rides and come back on them as 3-year-olds. You know, when you get to them, and you don't ever have to look back.
Yeah, exactly.
But the guys who are trying, I mean, I've seen horses the age of these, then we're stopping and turning around.
Yeah, that's not good.
And that can't be good. So when you define start, it's important that you make it clear that it's not going at them like they're 5-year-olds.
Right. Like you said, they just need to know that they can pack weight from point A to point B.
So those are some thoughts, and I'd be real interested in comments. If people feel differently, well, let fly. But I think we frankly make a pretty good case for giving these horses a judicious start when they're pretty young. And that way it sticks. We don't wait till our kids are 18 to send them to grade school, because I think most 18-year-olds would be hard to teach if they were completely uneducated. You take a 4-year-old horse, you may be like trying to train an 18-year-old kid. And I don't know, if Raven wasn't broke, I don't think I'd want to tackle her. So those are our thoughts, folks. Thanks for joining us. And I'm just going to have to go remember to tie this filly up and let her burn off a little energy.